another roommate.
They can't do that. You had an obligation to them.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
Carly Lobdell and her girlfriend, Alexandria Tabatsnik, are suing their former roommates, Tori Loggle and Logan Peel, for unpaid rent, money they paid for furniture, and stolen belongings.
Order. All rise. Quiet in the courtroom. It's case 575 on the calendar in the matter of Tabatsnik, Lobdell versus Peel, Loggle.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Tabatsnik.
Yes.
Is that you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Your co-plaintiff is your girlfriend, and the two of you were looking for another couple to share an apartment with. Somehow you got together on Facebook?
Yes. Yeah.
With the defendants. You met, they are a couple, you liked each other, and you decided maybe it would be a good fit. You would find a two-bedroom apartment to share together. When did you find them? What month?
I believe it was January 2018.
And where did you find the apartment?
In UTC La Jolla.
How much rent was the apartment?
$25.80 total.
Expensive. All signed the lease?
Yes.
All four of you. And moved in when?
January 27, 2018.
Who's going to speak?
She can speak.
January 27, 2018.
And we moved in on February 14th.
But you signed the lease effective?
January 27th.
January 27th. But you moved in February 14th?
Correct.
Correct.
Okay. Your last name is?
Loggle.
Miss Loggle had some problems with the apartment. I don't know what they were. You want to tell me quickly what problems you had when you moved in on the 14th?
I actually had a severe allergy attack multiple times throughout that month I lived there.
Okay, so for the 2 weeks that you were there, from February 14th until the end of the month, you had allergies.
I believe it was a month.
Did there come a time when you left the apartment?
They did actually put us in a hotel so they could renovate the apartment.
Who put you in a hotel?
The apartment complex.
Okay, so someone must have complained to the apartment complex.
Correct.
Who was that?
That was me, Your Honor.
That was you. And were you complaining on your behalf or on your girlfriend's behalf?
On all of our behalf.
Okay, so tell me what the problem was with the apartment.
So they found some black mold, and they found like dirt and dust.
Okay, you don't have any reports of that, but there was clearly...
No, we
you
do, Your Honor.
I'd like to see them. And it was evidently sufficiently hazardous so that the apartment complex put all of you up in a hotel?
Correct. 2018 to March 29th, 2018, but they took us out before that because it was completed.
The apartment complex paid for the hotel, plus you had all paid your rent in the month of March. Paid for you to stay in a hotel. And when did you all move back?
We were cleared to go back in March 22nd.
And you came back March 22nd?
I don't believe we did. We were out of town, and we came back on like the 23rd or the 24th.
I'm going to read this report. Okay. Your complaint is that the defendants moved out without any notice. When did you move out?
So we were out by the 31st.
Okay. Did you pay April's rent?
No, because we were out before April, and we had broken the lease.
I'm sorry.
Shh. When you say you broke the lease, I'd like you to tell me your understanding of breaking the lease.
I basically moved back in and had another reaction, and then I got it cleared by a doctor to, I sent it to me, sorry.
Nice. I want you to tell me what you mean by breaking the lease.
We got signed off the lease by the apartment complex.
Okay. When you got signed off on the lease, did they reduce their rent by half?
They did not.
Well, then how do you expect them to pay April's rent?
By finding another roommate.
They can't do that.
That's why we offered to help, and we posted ads, and we found a roommate.
No, just a second. Great. Effective when?
So we actually...
Sorry. You offered to help. I'll read the... You had no intention of moving out when you moved back in on the 22nd or the 23rd.
We did, Your Honor.
Had you given notice to the landlord prior to moving back into the apartment from the hotel that you were leaving?
Yes, we did.
Okay, show me.
You're holding the one that was the notice.
You were supposed to give me a report. You said you had a report for me. I thought, didn't I ask for the report? That...
What report are you asking for?
Well, you said that they found mold. And I said, that's hearsay, unless you have a report. You said, I have it. So that's what you were supposed to hand me, not a lawyer's letter.
So the apartment complex won't release the...
So the answer is you don't have a report.
I physically do not have a report.
That's the answer. So that all I know is that the situation was sufficiently serious that they moved the four of you out of the apartment then told you that whatever it was cleaned, it was sanitized, and they moved back. You moved back 2 days later, according to you, on the 23rd or the 24th of March, and then moved out a week later. And I'm telling you that you can't do that to them. It's fine if the landlord doesn't say to you, you're on the hook. These people, you have an obligation to them because they rented this apartment for more money than they could have afforded together as a couple. Otherwise, they wouldn't have taken in two strangers.
Absolutely, Your Honor.
So you owe them. Now, if what you're telling me, Mr. Peel, is because what they're asking for is your half month's rent for the month of April.
Yes.
That's what they're asking for. Now, that's not a lot. That would suggest to me that they didn't have anybody in April taking up the slack for your half of the rent. Put your hand down. If what you're telling me is that you found them a tenant who was paying them rent starting April 1st, I'll hear that.
Correct. So what we did was we posted ads online.
Just a second. When did you do that?
So this was when we moved back in on
Just a second. So on the 23rd or the 24th, you posted ads online.
Yeah.
Just a second. That's what you just told me. On the 23rd and the 24th, you posted ads online.
And before that. So we posted ads.
That you told me when you moved back in. That was the 23rd or the 24th. Keep going.
So we posted ads online, and we found a suitable roommate.
Great. You found just a second. Okay. You found a suitable roommate that was suitable for them.
Correct.
Great. And when was that roommate supposed to take possession of the apartment?
On the 1st.
On the 1st of April. Is that correct? Somebody paid rent April 1st. They have no damages.
Well, nice. Okay.
Make it easy. Or for me, while you're looking, did you have a new roommate starting April 1st?
No, we did not.
We have text from Logan saying he's paying on the 3rd. We have the apartment saying they're responsible.
Do you have a new roommate now?
No.
Do you have a roommate starting in May?
Not yet. We have a possible one, but he hasn't signed yet.
But nobody moved in with you?
No.
No.
In April?
No.
No.
Okay. And you have proof, sir, Mr. Peel, pay attention. You have proof that someone moved in with them. That's very easy. I call the landlord.
I do not have proof that somebody moved in with them.
Fine, then you owe them half a month's rent.
Judge.
Could I?
Your Honor.
Can we speak?
Your Honor. So we found a roommate, and what had happened is that I basically reached out and said we found someone, and then they decided the apartment complex gave us options. They said that.
Don't tell me what the apartment. No. Listen to me.
Sorry.
You can't tell me what the apartment complex said. No. That's hearsay. If what you're telling me that you found a suitable roommate that was suitable to them, because you really had no right to break this lease. I don't care what your lawyer's letter said. As between them, not the apartment complex, you took the apartment and rent, but you had an obligation to them. And because you had a rash doesn't mean because you had a rash.
It wasn't a rash.
Because you had a rash or an allergy attack doesn't mean that you can move out without either finding them a suitable roommate or paying them the remainder of the lease. Now, if you found them a suitable roommate and they, for some reason, rejected that roommate, well, then I'll hear you. But I don't want to hear a lot of baloney.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Mr. Peel, if they knocked at the door in the middle of the night, if they telephoned you 150 times a day, and you can prove that to me, that's harassment. Do you understand?
And later today.
Do you have any proof she agreed to pay you back and that it was a loan?
I would have had it over my phone.
Not woulda, I don't want to know woulda, coulda, shoulda.
Okay.
I want to know, do you have any?
At this moment, no, I do not.
Well, this is the only moment.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Carly Lobdell and girlfriend Alexandria Tabatsnik say former roommates Tori Loggle and Logan Peel backed out of their lease. The defendants are countersuing.
Okay, so you found them a suitable roommate and?
So we found them a roommate, and then they decided that they weren't sure if they wanted to stay living there or not either. So we can't get a roommate for someone, like we can't find a roommate and tell them they're not going to know where they're going to live, because they had sent text messages after I found a roommate saying that they don't know if they want to stay or not now, because she was also having reactions in the apartment. And so I can't fill a room that they don't know where they're going to be.
And we have proof
you owe them
of
half
the
a month's rent.
reactions.
Okay. $1,250. Now, money paid for furniture. You want to tell me what money you paid for furniture?
Yes, right here, the first month we paid $150 more.
You paid $150 more for what furniture?
Desk chairs, TVs.
Okay, so what you were really doing, madam, is you didn't have sufficient furniture. They had furniture. And what they said to you was, if you want to use our furniture, it's going to cost you an extra $150
Exactly.
a month.
We have those tests.
I actually get that. That doesn't mean that you bought the furniture from them.
Yes.
It means that you used the furniture the first month, so you don't get that money back. You sat on the chairs, you ate off the table, you watched the TV. All of that is fair. They owe you $1,250. Now we have a counterclaim. Let's see what this counterclaim is about. Harassment and rental furniture. Forget the rental furniture, we've dealt with it. Who's going to speak?
Go ahead.
So after we were removed from the lease, we were receiving messages from Alex and Carly saying that we had to pay, which I know you just decided now was, but we have this document saying that we were removed from the lease,
I don't care
effective by the apartment complex and signed by those two.
Mr. Peel, that doesn't qualify as harassment, that they want you to pay half the month's rent.
And
if they knocked at the door in the middle of the night, if they telephoned you 150 times a day, and you can prove that to me, that's harassment. Do you understand? Telling you repeatedly that you owe them half a month's rent for the month of April is not harassment, because you owe them half a month's rent for the month of April when you and your girlfriend decided to move out and sign yourself off the lease because you got an attorney to write them a very long letter. By the way, are you in any way related to this attorney, Stephen?
No.
So you paid the attorney?
Correct, and we settled with the apartment.
Shh. So you paid the attorney. How much did you pay him?
$200.
Okay, you owe them $1,250. Judgment for the plaintiff. We're done. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I kind of expected it to go this way. I'm really happy it was the e-commerce.
No, not at all. If I'm using an EpiPen living in an apartment, I probably shouldn't be living there.
They backed out on a lease. Hey, you owe us money, point blank.
At the end of the day, when your girlfriend can't live in an apartment, you're gonna move.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Novoa versus Huffnagel. Step forward.
Felicia Novoa is suing ex-girlfriend Alicia Huffnagel for an unpaid loan to buy a car.
Ms. Novoa, the defendant was your girlfriend for a period of time. According to your complaint, you made her a loan. You made that loan to her in January of last year, and the loan was for a down payment on a car. The relationship that you had with the defendant lasted until August of last year, and then the relationship was over, and you want the $1,500 back that you paid towards the down payment of her car. The defendant says, while she acknowledges that you did put the down payment on the car, she said it was a gift. There was never any discussion of repayment of this money. She said that she never paid you any of the money between January and August. Is that correct?
Correct.
Right. That you never demanded any money from her between January and August, correct? Correct?
Correct.
Okay, so now it's your responsibility to prove to me that this was, given those circumstances, that this was a loan.
We spoke over phone when we had this conversation. Pay me back, you know, it's a month into it. I gave her, you know, $1,500 a month into our relationship. I wouldn't even do that with family. So yeah, so I was like, as long as, you know, you pay me back, I'll lend you this money.
Do you have any proof of that?
That I lent her money?
No, that she agreed to pay you back and that it was a loan. Do you have any correspondence with her? Do you have an agreement with her?
I would have had it over my phone.
Not woulda, I don't want to know woulda, coulda, shoulda.
Okay.
I want to know, do you have any?
At this moment, no, I do not.
Well, this is the only moment.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
If you paid her $300, you acknowledge the fact that you were responsible for paying her back.
But there was no agreement.
By you making a $300 payment to her, you acknowledge an agreement.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Felicia Novoa says ex-girlfriend Alicia Huffnagel owes for a loan to buy a car.
Now, in February of 2017, Ms. Huffnagel, were you employed?
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of work were you doing?
I was working at a grocery store.
Is that the same kind of work that you were doing previous to January?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you still doing that kind of work?
No.
What are you doing now?
I work at the airport now.
And what was...
$1,400 a month.
And were you working during that period?
Yes, I was.
What kind of work were you doing?
I was also at the grocery store. That's how we met.
And how much were you earning?
I was earning probably roughly the same amount.
So you're both earning the same amount of money, and now you've loaned her $1,500, according to you, and you're still together working in a grocery store, and she's paid you nothing back, not $25, not $50, not $100. January, February, March, April, May, June, or July, and you make no request for any money.
Once she's paid me $300, but I gave it back to her because she said that she was going to have to pay a bill or she was going to get sent to collection.
So during January, February, March, April, May, June, and July, she didn't give you any money, even though you knew how much she was earning. Didn't say to her, I want $25 a month.
Yeah.
$10 a month. Wasn't until after the relationship was over that she said, I want my money.
No, I would tell her during the relationship, but...
And?
I would ask her, and she just couldn't make the payments, so I was like, okay.
Well, there was no set payment.
Yeah, no, there wasn't a set payment.
No.
I didn't...
So far, Miss Nova, I'm not impressed. You want to tell me your version of how this $1,500 down payment...
My car had broken down, and I was venting to her about my situation, and it came down to me not having my job long enough or not having enough money to put down on a new car. And so that's when she said, like, I can help you with that. And so she gave it to me, and it was a pretty quick transaction because of dealing with, like, the dealership and stuff like that. They're fast, so I was told it was a gift.
Well, just a second. How were you told that it was a gift?
Verbally.
Well, tell me. What did she say to you? Nobody says to you, this is a gift.
I called her, and I was telling her, like, hey, the dealership...
Don't look down.
Sorry.
Here.
The dealership told me that I needed 3 things. I need money, a job longer, or good credit. I had decent credit, but I didn't have a job long enough or the money. And she said, well, if money isn't just your only thing holding you back, I can help you with that.
And?
And that's what she did.
Okay, and?
She Venmo'd me, which is a app that you can pay people, and I put it down on the car.
And you got the car. And you continued to see each other. And when, for the first time, did she ask you back for any of this money?
I'd say probably like 2 or 3 months in, and that's when I made the first, like, I was able to make like a $300 payment, and then, like she said, she gave it right back because I was struggling.
Oh, well, that's interesting.
Continues in a moment.
So you paid her $300. If you paid her $300, you acknowledged the fact that you were responsible for paying her back.
But there was no agreement.
Well, by you making a $300 payment to her, you acknowledge an agreement.
Well, because she was pressuring me about it being like... Because when I first got in a relationship with her, my understanding was that she wasn't... Like, she didn't make it seem like it was a big deal. She made it seem, you know, she has a house, she's a lot older than me. You know, I didn't think that it was going to be a big deal, but then a couple months later, it turned into like a... Hey, I wasn't just giving you that money, it was a loan, you have to pay me back. And I was like, okay, well, let me see what I can do. And so that's when I had that payment, but we were still dating, so she knew I was still struggling, and so she just kind of gave it back.
Very good. And she put down $1,500 on the car?
And I put down $1,000.
Great. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,500. We're done.
Why Judge Judy, when they step out?
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
I think it was fair.
I'm happy with it.
Not having a scheduled payment.
One thing led to another. I just wasn't getting paid.
I thought it was a gift, but apparently it was a loan.
I have too good of a heart, I guess.
I just wish her the best, that's all.
It's a life lesson learned.
Their landlord was sending them signals.
He would shut her power off.
He started going ka-ching with the lights. That was a gentle reminder that you hadn't paid your rent. Ta-dong.
Now they're between a rock and a hard place.
He refused to take payment from us.
This man refused to take your money?
They put $50 out on top of my car with a rock on top of it. And I got mad, and I told them, come get their money, I don't want it.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
Justin Everett and his girlfriend, Melissa Mahoney, are suing their former landlord, Jeffrey Sunsthaken, for stolen belongings, hotel bills, and harassment.
Order. All rise. This is case number 14 on the calendar in the matter of Maloney Everett versus Sunsthaken.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Your last name is?
Everett.
And are you related to each other?
Oh, ma'am.
Your boyfriend, girlfriend? You live together. How long have you lived together?
About 2 years.
The two of you rented, is it a room or a house? It's part of his house.
Yep. It's like an upper studio loft of his home.
And you rented it from him?
20th of 2018.
Where did you find the ad for the house?
It was on Craigslist.
Where had you lived before?
Detroit Lakes, Minnesota.
How long did you live there?
Like 17 months.
Why did you move from there?
The house was sold.
When you lived there, who did you rent from?
We were actually in the process of buying it from my cousin, but we ended up not filling that agreement, and he sold it to his brother's girlfriend.
Did you pay him rent?
Yeah. We were in the process of buying it.
Oh, that's not what I asked you.
Yeah,
Did you pay him rent?
We were not paying rent, no.
You were not paying him rent?
Not for that. We were paying...
Don't knock him. I asked you, it was a very simple question. You lived in this house for 17 months.
Yes. It was a mobile home, and we were paying lot rent.
So you were not paying for the use of the mobile home, but you were paying for the lot.
Yes.
So he sold the mobile home.
Yes.
Just the mobile home.
Yes.
Where'd you live before that?
At my family's home in Vegas.
Not together?
No.
So the first place that you lived together was at a place that was a mobile home that was owned by a relative of yours, and you did not pay that relative rent, but you paid the lot rent.
Yes, ma'am.
Which was how much?
$200 a month.
And when you rented this room from the defendant, how much was the rent starting January 20th?
It was supposed to be $500 a month.
What do you mean it was supposed?
$500 a month.
When you moved in on January 20th, how much money did you give him?
$180.
Was that for the end of January?
Yes.
For the last bit of January. So you gave him $180 for January. When did you move out of his premises?
May 1st.
On February 1st, did you give the defendant his $500?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that correct?
Yeah, I'd go along with that, yeah.
On March 1st, did you give the defendant his rent?
No, ma'am.
On April 1st, did you give the defendant his rent?
No, ma'am.
And on May 1st, you moved out?
Yes, ma'am.
So in total, you were there for part of January, February, March, and April, and you paid him a total of $680.
Yes, ma'am.
Just a second. Mr. Sanshagen, did they give you $180 a month for the month of January?
No, it's 5, but they gave me on January 20th, we sat down, we made a deal. They gave me $500 at that time or just after that for the month of February.
Did they give you any money for January?
No, I was supposed to get $100 and never did, but...
So when they moved in January 20th, they gave you $500?
20th or 25th, yeah, before they moved in, before the 1st of February, they gave me $500.
Before the 1st of February, they gave you $500?
Yeah.
And that's all the money that you got from them? So they lived January free? Though January
they weren't there
20th,
in January.
Not at all?
We made a deal on, so they kind of like 25th or 28th, they started...
Okay, but they were there for part of January. They didn't pay you
They made a deal, but they weren't there.
Okay, so they paid you for February.
Right.
But not for March.
Right.
And not for April.
Right.
And they moved out in May.
Yeah.
Did you evict them in May? Were you evicted?
No.
You left?
Yeah.
Tell me why.
Well,
Well, why don't you tell me why
we
first that you didn't pay rent in March?
Well, see, he would shut our power off. It's like in Minnesota where we're from.
Just a second. On what date, Mr. Everett, did the defendant, listening ears, on what date did Mr. Safingan, Mr. S, on what day did Mr. S, you think I want to struggle with this? I'm 75 years old. On what day did he start shutting off your power?
Could I say?
Yes.
It was actually like around March 5th is when the problem started.
Just a second. On March, pay attention.
Sorry.
She's just answered my question, Mr. Everett. Miss Maloney has said on March 5th, he started to shut your power on and off. That was a gentle reminder that you hadn't paid your rent. Did you say, zap? It's my light bill because the lights are going off. Da-dung. Do you know what I mean? Did that alert you to the fact that you hadn't paid March's rent?
Yes, it did.
Okay.
And
So
then
did you,
on
just a
March
second,
8th,
did you pay March's rent then?
On March 8th, we gave him partial payment.
Just a second. So on March 8th, I'm just finding out who I'm dealing with here.
Yeah.
So on March 3rd or 4th or 5th, he started going ka-ching with the lights. March 8th, your rent is now a week of $500, is a week overdue. How much did you give him?
$250. And
Why?
Why? Because that's all I could afford at the time.
Then don't live in his house.
Okay.
Then don't live in his house.
And after that, on March 13th, he refused to take payment from us.
He refused to take... This man, Mr. S, refused to take your money?
And we have voicemail.
We have voicemails proving that.
Oh.
Would you like to hear it?
Just a second. On what date did you offer him money, the rest of March's rent, and did he say to you, I don't want your rent? Put your hand down. I'm going to get... Mr. S, I'm going to let you speak. I promise you.
March 13th.
Okay. So March 13th, what date did you say you gave him $250?
March 8th.
Did they give you $250 on March?
Yeah, we did, but they showed me that $100 for January, so I didn't even think about that. So
Just a second.
They're right.
Well, just say they gave you $250 on March 8th. Now, did they try to give you more money on March 13th?
They put $50 out on top of my car. They left a text message on my telephone and said there's money on the car. They put a $50 out in my car out there with a rock on top of it. And I got mad and I just said no. And I told them, come get their money. I don't want it. So I said, I didn't want their $50.
Just a second. Is he telling me accurately that you put $50 under a rock on his car and said...
He would not answer his door,
He was inside of his home. He could see us, and he just refused.
Let me explain something to you. Rent is due the 1st of the month. Not dribs and drabs, not $250, not $50. He's not related to you. Maybe your cousin was related to you that you didn't pay rent to for the 17 months that you lived on his property. But this man isn't related to you. You had a deal. Your deal was you would move into his premises and you would pay him $500 a month on the 1st of the month. You didn't. Now, so...
If I may...
Just a second. You have a whole bunch of papers there. So now he may be a little off the wall. Money owed for items taken without permission. Okay. Then you want your hotel bills paid.
On March 13th.
So you stayed at a hotel on March 13th. Until when?
We actually stayed on and off through the month of March and also through the month of April because he would take the only heat source out of our home. He turned the water off, the lights off.
Did you pay him rent?
He wouldn't take our money. He wouldn't.
Listen.
I
don't want to listen to it. He just told me. He told you, take your money. I don't want it. I'm not taking $50 here and $20 there so that you can stay there. You're two squatters living on his property.
No, it's
Listen,
not.
let's get to what you claim he took of yours without your permission.
Well, he went into our home.
Just what did he take of yours without permission?
Well, there was an air conditioning unit in our place that was taken without our permission.
Just a second. Was it your air conditioning unit?
No, it actually...
Just a second. All I want to know is what items of yours do you allege that he took without permission?
It's the fact that he came into our place.
I don't care. Next. I don't care. Next. Money owed for items taken without permission. So he didn't take any of your items.
You can't come into a person's place without permission.
Perfect.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You said you moved out, and you're at your parents' house now, right? That's what you say. You say you're at your family, get rid of all their stuff, so that you can re-rent the room. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Throw it out.
And later today...
Just tell us what kind of meat this was.
It was summer sausage and beef sticks.
Beef sticks?
It's like a Slim Jim.
What is a Slim Jim?
A beef stick that you buy in convenience stores.
Too much information that I'm never going to use again.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Justin Everett and his girlfriend, Melissa Mahoney, claim former landlord Jeffrey's son's taken, owes for stolen belongings, hotel bills, and harassment. Jeffrey is countersuing for rent, harassment, and a false restraining order.
Okay, now let's get to your counterclaim. I have no case.
You're kidding me.
Ridiculous.
It's against the law.
Where are you living now?
At my family's house.
Okay. Yeah. I have to explain my sense so that you know where I'm coming from. Somebody rents a room in their house or part of their property. They do so because they need the extra income. If the people that they rent to are normal and are acting like responsible tenants, they're happy. They get their money, everything is fine. Because you really have to be, you're not psychotic, are you? You may like to have, you know, a beer once in a while, but you're not psychotic, are you? He got nuts because you weren't paying your rent.
We tried to pay the rent.
Yeah, you gave
He would not accept our payment.
I'm going to ask you just one question. I'm just going to ask you just one question.
He threatened us?
Mr. Everett, pay attention to my mouth. One question. Did you, on the 1st of March, give Mr. S. $500 for rent? No. On the 2nd of March, did you give him $500 for rent? The answer is no. The 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th. Did you give him $500 a month in rent? The answer is no. A day later, you gave him half the rent. That wasn't your deal. Your deal was $500. You didn't have a deal?
No written deal.
Just a second. You told me 5 minutes ago, we'll play the tape back for you. You said you answered an ad on Craigslist. You sat down. What was the rent? You said to me it was $500 a month. I asked you, when did you move in? You told me January 20th. You told me that you gave him $180. He doesn't say you gave him $180. He says you gave him $500 on the 23rd, and that was to cover February.
And that's
you still
false.
owed him for January. You have proof that you gave him $180? No. Then, instead of giving him on the 9th of March $250, because I believe him, in cash, under a rock, on his car, and said to him, there's money for you, and he said, take your money. I don't want your money. That's on your machine. I don't want to hear it. Do you understand? I'm not interested in hearing it unless you tell me on March 1st and April 1st you gave him $500.
We tried to.
Just a second. You didn't try to. That's a lie. You did not try to give him $500 on March 1st.
On March 3rd, he's told us that we were evicted from this property.
All right, good. All right, you get zero. Dippity-doo. He owes you nothing. Now, are you happy to have them gone?
I'd like that.
They're gone, aren't they?
Their stuff's still there, but they're gone.
Their stuff is still there?
Yeah.
What stuff is still there? If their stuff is still there, then they're there. What stuff is there?
There's still some things up there. It's just happened, so I haven't got anything moved out.
You mean it just happened on May 1st?
Yeah.
That they left?
Yeah.
And you left. You said you moved out. And you're at your parents' house now, right? That's what you say. You say you're at your family's house now. Is that what you said? Throw all their stuff out. Get rid of all their stuff. Get rid of it all so that you can re-rent the room. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Throw it out.
Yeah.
They didn't pay you rent.
Really?
March, April, or May. They have no stuff that belongs. Goodbye. We're done.
Oh, my God.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I really have nothing to say.
Well, I'm pleased. It sounded like she saw right through them.
I have nothing to say.
They're professional squatters.
No comments.
I won't make the mistake again.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Hagwood versus Emillienberg. Step forward.
Rocky Hagwood is suing butcher shop owner Clayton Emillienberg for stealing $700 worth of meat.
Mr. Haywood, according to what I read, you purchased from the defendant and paid for $700 worth of some sort of meat. He was in the butcher business. And you were planning on going out of business?
Yes, ma'am.
You had purchased some
Yes, Your Honor.
mystery meat from him before?
Purchased.
And you said, well, I'll buy it. He gave you a very good buy on a whole bunch of it.
Right.
And it supposedly stays frozen for a long time.
Right.
Just tell us what kind of meat this was.
It was summer sausage and beef sticks.
Beef sticks?
Beef sticks.
And do you make that?
Yes, ma'am. It's like a Slim Jim.
What is a Slim Jim?
A beef stick that you buy in convenience stores, but we're not allowed to sell ours in a convenience store.
Why can't you sell yours at a convenience store?
According to USDA rules, there's certain state and government rules.
Because you have to slaughter it a certain way, and you have to be approved. Somebody
I have
comes
to
in
buy
and
the
license
retail
it.
approved to process that meat and sell in my establishment.
All right, too much information that I'm never going to use again. You know, I don't mind absorbing information that I'm going to use, but this is not something that I'm ever going to use again.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You paid $700 for meat.
Yeah, and I want it back.
Just a second. How much meat did you take?
I would probably say...
How much? $100 worth? $50 worth?
I would say probably $100 worth, maybe.
Well, how do I know?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Rocky Hedgewood is suing butcher shop owner Clayton Emillienberg for stealing $700 worth of meat.
Okay, so you bought this meat on what day?
It was sometime in...
Don't tell me sometime.
It was in August.
And you asked him to hold the meat for you?
Yes, we were really good friends, Your Honor, at one time, and...
You asked him to hold the meat for you?
Yes, I did.
And when did you go and pick up the meat?
I occasionally went in there and picked up some now and then because I didn't have any place to store it.
When you say you occasionally went in there to pick up some, between August and what did you occasionally go in there to pick up some?
Like in January, I went to pick some up, and he had changed...
Between August and January, sir. Say between August and October, how many times did you go to pick up meat at the butcher shop?
Probably about twice, 2-3 times.
And it was frozen?
No, I gave some of it away at Christmas time to relatives
Just a second. We're dealing with October. Put your hand down. Christmas time, you gave early Christmas presents, or then you went back Christmas time. So between October and the end of December, how many times did you go in to the butcher shop?
I was there numerous times because I'd go in there and visit.
Numerous times. I'm just talking to take meat.
Probably about maybe twice, 2-3 times. That was it.
So 2-3 times between August and September and October, and 2 or 3 times between October and December. So that's 6 times you went in to take meat.
No.
Listen, I'm not bothering with this case for more than another 30 seconds. You paid $700 for meat.
Yeah, and I want it back.
Just a second. And you went in how many times to pick up meat? That's what you told
3.
me. You said to me I would go in, and you gave Christmas presents away. To whom?
To my family, and it wasn't that much, maybe about 2 people.
How much, just a second, how much meat, beef, do you have proof that you took out? You went in 3 times. You're suing him for $700. How much meat did you take? You have one piece of paper in front of you.
I would probably here, though, that it'd come out.
I would probably say what? How much? $100 worth? $50 worth?
I would say probably $100 worth, maybe.
Well, how do I know? How do I know?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
How am I supposed to figure out how much you took? In any event, he had sold the butcher shop, according to you, to somebody else, who was also a good friend, who you went into.
And they both agreed to let me store it.
Who cares? I don't care. I can't tell how much you took. In any event, he didn't own the butcher shop when it closed. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
When did you sell the butcher shop?
I did not actually get it sold to this gentleman. I had all of my lawyers pull up purchase agreements and everything.
When did you leave the butcher shop?
I left it in August. The beginning of August. August 1st is whenever he took it over.
Okay. So between August and December, you were dealing with somebody else?
Correct.
You were dealing with somebody else who you say agreed to store your meat, because he wasn't there after August.
Yes.
Goodbye, Mr. Hedgewood. We're done. You had no agreement with him.
No.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
You got nothing to say good, don't say nothing. I think Judge Judy just give me my meat back and we wouldn't be here today.
He couldn't pick up his meat in a timely fashion.
Probably sold it, ate it, who knows?
I do not know. I think it might have just been disposed of.
Haven't talked to him since.
I'm just glad it's over.
This friendly landlord welcomed all.
Mr. Scallion rents rooms in his house because he likes the extra money.
We also enjoy having nice people in our house. We have other roommates.
That is the most bizarre, ridiculous answer I ever heard.
But he's rethinking everything.
How long did you stay?
19 days.
After this tenant.
The police removed you from the premises.
The police had to break down the door, drag her out with the dog.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
Kathy Weaver is suing her ex-roommate, Edmund Scallion, for a false arrest, a false restraining order, and an eviction.
Order. All rise. This is case number 1 on the calendar in the matter of Weaver versus Scallion.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Miss Weaver, it is my understanding that at some point, and I don't know whether he's in a facility. I assume that he's in a facility because you were looking to downsize. You had to get into something smaller, and you rented a room from the defendant. The defendant had a 4-bedroom house. You saw a room advertised on Craigslist. You moved into the room on what date?
March 2nd of 2017.
So that's almost a year ago. And how long did you stay?
Approximately 19 days.
Then my first question to you is, your lawsuit alleges a couple of things. First, that he owes you for actual and punitive damages for false arrest, a false restraining order, and eviction.
Correct.
Okay. So I'd like you to tell me what took you a year to get here.
Well, I just filed, actually, and got my husband out of the nursing home. We've got a place. I got settled in, and I went ahead and saw the restrictions, and I filed before a year was over with. And he had moved, and I had moved too.
So is what you're saying that you were busy?
Right.
So all of this other stuff you put on the back burner, put on hold. Okay. So you're living at home with your husband now?
I am. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, good. So let's first deal with 19 days and false arrest.
Right.
You mean in March of last year, you moved out 19 days later. You moved out...
Oh, well, yes and no.
No. You moved out because the police removed you from the premises. There was an altercation in the house. The police were called, and ultimately the police removed you from the premises and arrested you.
Right.
Right. Okay. Now, that was on what date?
March 21st, 2017.
So I want you to tell me what happened on March 21.
On March 21, I woke up about 8 o'clock, and Ed and his wife were out in the kitchen. I asked him, it was about the third time I had asked him, if he would return my album that he was looking at. He told me...
When you moved in, I read, when you moved in, according to you, he looked at an album of yours, a Pink Floyd album. He said, can I borrow it? He borrowed it. Then, according to you, you wanted it back, and he said, I sold it, you gave it to me. So right now, you're in a room, you've got a lot of stress, your husband's in a facility, and you want your Pink Floyd album back, and you've asked for it 3 times. And it's 8 o'clock in the morning. You know, I'm creating a picture for myself. You went into the kitchen, 8 o'clock in the morning, and said, where's my Pink Floyd album? And?
And he said, you're not getting it back, you stupid. I sold it at a garage sale.
Okay. Good. So things must have been a little tense even before that.
I didn't really notice, but they were fighting.
Just a second. You didn't notice that things was for a reason. I want you to understand the reason. If Mr. Scallion...
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Scallion advertises on Craigslist for a room. That's because he and his wife, who were living in this house, need extra money. That's the only reason people rent out a room in their house to a stranger. Fair statement?
We also enjoy having nice people in our house. We have other roommates.
Yeah, I want to tell you. I want to tell you something. That is the most bizarre, ridiculous answer I ever heard.
It's not. It's the truth.
To me, it's a bizarre, ridiculous answer because friends are things that you have. They're like grandchildren. You have them, and you play with them for a couple of hours, and you let them go home to their parents. At a certain age, you have a wife that you love, who it's hard enough to live with.
No, not at all.
Well...
She's a peach.
No, she's a peach. You want to know something? You're not helping yourself.
Really?
Yeah, you're really not helping yourself because it's hard for anybody to live with anybody all the time. I want you to look at your wife's face. You're saying no, she's saying yes.
I'm just saying in her case, I'm sorry, I was just saying in her case, we have a roommate that's been with us for 40 years.
I have to tell you, you're saying yes, and he's saying no. Most normal people, when they have a house, if they rent a room to someone in the house, it's to have extra money. They may enjoy it. I'm just telling you, you may be an extraordinary person, somebody who, you know, is maybe a very, very wonderful, open person who likes to have a lot of people around him, but most people, in the comfort of their home, if they're having a bad day, they only want to deal with one person. That person evidently loves them, so they'll tolerate the bad day. They don't want to have to deal with strangers who aren't going to tolerate the bad day. So, Mr. Scallion, if you tell me you're one of the rarities, I say, okay, I don't deal in rarities here. I deal in common sense. I'm getting back to Miss Weaver. So, common sense, you wake up 8 o'clock in the morning and you're looking for your Pink Floyd album while your husband is recovering from a stroke. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, Mr. Scallion, in my scenario, rents rooms in his house because he likes the extra money. May like other people around him, but he also likes the extra money because he doesn't rent the rooms for free. He doesn't say, come to my house, I want to you to be around me, he charges you rent. In your case, it was $550 a month?
No, ma'am, it was $950.
$950 a month. He likes friends who have money. So he rents the room for $950 a month. Does that include food?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So to be his friend, it costs you $950 a month.
What?
And a deposit.
Shh, just a second. But that means that rooms in his house, because he and his wife, although they may like people, they also like somebody to help them pay the mortgage on this 4-bedroom house or 5-bedroom house. So now he has one roommate for 4 years that I'm sure pays rent, doesn't live there gratis, and you. So now that's $2,000 a month. What I'm telling you, Miss Weaver, is nobody that I know who's sane, who would put an ad in Craigslist, would want to do something to purposely a roommate.
Yeah.
Like, say, what you say he said to you, nobody would say without cause, without anything, would say what you claim he said to you in the morning when he was having breakfast at 8 o'clock with his wife when you said, could I have my album back? So if you think that I believe that that's what he said to you from nothing, you didn't see any trouble before or anything else, I don't believe it. Next, you asked for your album and you didn't get it. Now, what's next? Come on, what's next?
He pushed me.
Shh, just a second. I'm not asking you anything.
Sorry, I apologize.
You see, and I already know you're difficult to live with because you can't appreciate the fact that you seem to be winning and you can't keep it shut. So you understand? You seem not to be going against somebody who's not playing out a scenario that would be in your best interest. The ground. You are his wife, aren't you?
Yes.
Yeah. So.
I'm just uncomfortable.
What? Just a second.
I'm sorry.
That didn't require an answer. It required my reading you.
It's not about him. It's about her.
Just a second.
I'm sorry.
Don't say anything.
Yeah.
So then you claim he pushed you.
He did.
Okay. He was in the kitchen sitting down when you came in or standing up?
He was standing.
He was standing. And where was his wife?
I believe beside him in the kitchen somewhere.
So they were both standing. Now, where were you when you came into the kitchen?
I came and sat down at the end of a bar and was having coffee.
Okay, so you were sitting and he was standing. Did you fall off the bar stool when he pushed you?
No,
Just a second. I just want to know. He was standing. You said he said something foul to you.
And
when
I
you
had
asked
got
for
up.
a seat, just a second. Oh, then you got up. I want you to go step by step with me. Do you understand where I'm going? You're coming, you're sitting, having coffee. Now you're sitting, having coffee. So the first thing that you did was not ask him for Pink Floyd. You came in and you made yourself coffee.
Good morning.
Just a second. You made yourself coffee. And you sat down. Didn't say good morning, didn't acknowledge that it was a nice day. I want to start from the beginning, Miss Weaver. You see where I'm not buying what you're saying to me, especially since, according to get you out of your room.
I didn't want to open the door because
they told you to come out, and you didn't. All right, we're going to get to that point. Do you understand? Unless you want to say goodbye to me now.
No.
You understand where we're going?
I'm good.
All right.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He told me, just leave, just go right now, and he was pointing to the door. And I'm like, I'm not going to go, and thinking that in my head.
Were you taking medication that morning?
It's
not an answer.
Possibly, yes.
It's not an answer.
Yes.
The answer is yes.
Yes.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Kathy Weaver says ex-roommate Edmund Scallion assaulted her and had her falsely arrested. Edmund has a countersuit for damaged property, lost wages, and punitive damages.
Now, so you came into the kitchen, said good morning to the two of them.
Yes, I did.
Made yourself coffee, sat down at the end of the bar. They were standing in the kitchen. Make sure I'm getting it right. Don't say yes if I'm getting it wrong.
Yes, you're getting it right.
And so there's nothing evil that's going on. Then you said to him, I want my Pink Floyd album back.
And I expected to get it.
No, just a second.
Yes, ma'am.
I want to know what you said.
I said, hey.
And he said,
no, I don't have it anymore. And I said, what? Excuse me? And he said, no, I don't have it anymore. I got rid of it. And I said, what? He said, yeah, I sold it at the garage sale. And
that's not what you said to me 2 minutes ago.
He said,
Miss Weaver, that's not what you said to me 2 minutes ago. What you said to me 2 minutes ago was you walked into the kitchen. You said to him, I want my Pink Floyd album back. He said to me, well, you're not getting it back. You blank, 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 blank. And then he pushed you. That's what you said to me 2 minutes ago. So that's not what happened.
I walked out of the kitchen and he was he by that time had walked out of the kitchen the other way because there's a wall. So I walked out this way, and I think he kind of walked out that way. And he was standing in between where my bedroom is in the hallway because I was going to go to my bedroom. And I said, hey, man, you better get my album back. Can we go to the person and find out, you know, can I get it back, or can you at least pay me for what'd you sell it for? And he wouldn't tell me anything. He told me, just leave, just go right now. And he was pointing to the door. And I'm like, I'm not going to go. You know, I'm thinking that in my head.
Were you taking medication that morning? Is not an answer.
Possibly, yes.
Is not an answer.
Yes.
The answer is yes.
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 Yes, I take my medication every morning.
Oh,
okay.
So then he pushed you. I want you to tell me how he pushed you.
He pushed my chin, and then I went like flying back into the wall. He was standing there.
And then what did you do?
I said, I'm not.
And then who called the police?
He did.
He did. All right, so let me understand this. He pushed you, and then he went and called the police.
Yes, he did.
Okay, now you're in your room. You go into your room. The police come. You know the police are there.
I know the police are there.
They're sirens. You know that they're at the house.
Right.
They come to your door. They tell you to come out.
Right.
And what do you say?
I said, first, I just want you to know that I wanted to call you guys. He pushed me, so I wanted to make sure that you guys have the story straight.
And then they said...
Yeah, come in.
Just a sec.
Open the door.
And then you said...
I did open the door.
How long did it take you to open the door?
Maybe...
Not maybe. How long did it take you?
Under 30 seconds, because I got up from the bed and I was telling him, are you sure do you understand what I'm saying? He pushed me. I'm the victim here. He pushed me. I just want you guys to know that.
I want to see a police report.
Okay. I had no charges in it.
Just a second.
Okay.
Did you have a hearing on the protective order?
There was a hearing.
And what happened with the protective order?
I showed up. He did not. It was dissolved.
On what date?
4/13/2017, I believe.
Was a temporary order of protection issued?
It was for 5 feet in the house, stay away from each other.
You have a copy of the protective order?
This on the door, 3-day notice. So he was, there's the dismissal. Thank you. Go ahead.
Oh, no, this is the protective order. You were arrested for something else. This is for the protective order. He didn't show up on the 13th. This is the 3-day notice to quit. I want to see what you were arrested for.
He writes in his...
No, not he writes it. I want to see what you were arrested for.
I don't believe I had any charges, and I've looked and I've asked. He said I was, in this deposition here that he wrote, he said I was arrested for resisting arrest.
There was no appearance by any party, according to this... You didn't show up and he didn't show up.
I was late.
So you didn't show up and he didn't show up is the answer. That's what it says here.
I didn't see the judge.
No appearance by any party.
I didn't see the judge. That's correct. But I did show up.
Were you out of the house by then?
Yes.
Good.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You were in jail?
I was in jail.
For how long?
About 5 months.
Oh, Miss Weaver, you are so full of baloney.
No, I was.
You are so full of baloney.
I don't want to tell you that.
Then you lied.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Kathy owes for an assault, a false arrest, and an eviction.
Okay, you have no case. You have no case. You have no case.
But, Your Honor,
you have no case.
She said I could stay 5 feet. He wouldn't let me in.
You have no
or
case.
Give me my dog.
Just a second. You have no case. Now, the only thing I'm going to ask you is, when she was taken away by the police, she had a dog.
Yes, ma'am. The police asked us to watch the dog until she got out.
That was on the 21st.
Correct.
Did you know when she was getting out?
I didn't, and when we found out, she came back to the house, started kicking and screaming, breaking the front door. We let the dog out. She took the dog, went away. I had already called the cops. She drove off, got picked up by the cops for violating the restraining order.
Okay, and that was on what date?
I want to say the 23rd or 24th. I may have some evidence on that. I really don't know for sure.
Let's see.
My car got impounded. He had my purse, my IDs, everything, and they said I could get in the house. The judge wrote it was not an eviction notice.
The police had to drag her out with a dog. Had to break down the door, drag her out with the dog. They asked us to watch the dog.
Show me. Just show me.
Well, show you what?
The second time.
Shh. Do you have any police notes from the 21st?
No, they didn't leave us anything.
Shh, just a second.
Sorry.
This is where you're coming today. You're coming to a court.
Yes.
You filed a counterclaim, also a year late. I understand that. but if you're coming to court and you're filing a counterclaim, you should have something that had to do
Well, we
with
had to
the
move because of
incident.
her. We had to move because of her.
I'm not
Sorry,
entertaining your counterclaim now. I'm finishing up her claim. All I want to know is, where's the dog?
The dog?
The dog you let out. She took the dog in her car. She was arrested again for violating the protective order. Shh. Let me look. When you were arrested the second time, Miss Weaver, when you went back there, you recall that? Do you recall that?
Yes, ma'am.
Very careful what you tell me. The dog was in the car with you.
The dog was in the house with them. So was my purse and everything I owned.
If your purse and everything you own were in the house with them and you never got, you would have been here a year ago.
I went to jail.
Just a second. You would have been here a year ago.
I went to jail for missing a court date.
Listen to me. You were in jail?
I was in jail.
For how long?
About 5 months.
Oh, Miss Weaver, you are so full of baloney.
No, I was.
You are so full of baloney.
I don't want to tell you that.
Then you lied.
Well,
I asked you what took you so long to get here. For a year, you said to me I had to take my husband out of the facility, and I had to find a place, and I had to do this, and I had to do that. Nowhere did you tell me that you were in jail for 5 months.
In a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by.
Now you want to tell me what you were in jail for 5 months for?
I missed a court date, 2 of them, and so most everything was dissolved.
You missed a court date for what?
Trespassing.
Trespassing where?
In Claremont.
An ex-roommate. Sorry.
Not.
Apologize, Your Honor.
Trespassing, not at the defendant's house.
No.
At somebody else's property.
This was before him.
A residence?
No, it was an empty house.
Okay. Mr. Scallion, your first reaction, which was to just be grateful that one of the people that you invited to be friends with for $950 a month didn't turn out too well.
No, it did
and
not.
Just say, goodbye, glad it was only 19 days, I'm happy, goodbye. I'm going to let you rest on that first reaction. I'm dismissing your claim. You have no cause of action. I'm dismissing your counterclaim because it's nonsense. Goodbye, we're done.
Parties are excused, you may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
We lost our place over this incident with this complete drug addict.
I think they were using drugs. They were up till like 3, 4 in the morning, and I wasn't a part of it.
When our landlord kicking down doors, they said, well, we can't rent to you anymore.
He basically legally kicked me out, kept my dog.
Not a word that she said was true. Like, legitimately, not a word.
I told the police, I think they have a gun, and I fear for my life.
She told me she had a gun, and she was going to shoot myself, my wife, my daughter, and our roommate, Megan.
No, I don't have a gun, and I've never had a gun.
But we have a very calm house, very calm family, my wife, my daughter, and I, and our 2 roommates that live with us for 4 and 3 years.
I don't know why you sold my album. I don't know, and that's what started all of this, was really stupid.
You came and you brought your dog. She had a dog.
A crowded apartment fills up even more.
The 2 of you idiots did not have your dog neutered or spayed. The 2 dogs got together.
Then a puppy problem.
Why hadn't your dog been spayed?
Breeds bad feelings.
Why didn't you ever tell me either?
You knew she wasn't spayed.
I had no idea.
And then you say you had an argument and she kicked you out of the house.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
Jeanette Plesnick is suing her former friend, Cassandra Lipsy, for the return or value of a puppy, hotel fees, and...
All rise. It's case number 10 on the calendar in the matter, Plesnick versus Lipsy.
Thank you, Bert.
You're welcome, Judge. Party's been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat, please.
Let me understand this, Miss Plesnick. You needed a place to live, and Miss Lipsy was a friend of yours. She allowed you to move into her apartment.
Correct.
For free.
No. I paid her rent.
You paid me.
I paid her.
If you interrupt her, you're gone.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Initially, I paid her $100 a month. Initially, I asked her 2 times to have it in writing.
Listen to me carefully. You lived there with her for free. If you say you paid her $100 a month, that's like living there for free.
I was only there 4 days a week.
Listen to me.
I wasn't living there all the time. I was staying in her daughter's room.
Listen to me. I don't care. You needed a place. You were living at her place. You came and you brought your dog. she had a dog. How old was your dog when you brought the dog
6
there?
months old.
And how old was your dog?
5 years old.
And the two of you idiots did not have your dog neutered or
Correct.
spayed. So
Correct.
you brought a 6-month-old male puppy into a house with a 5-year-old unspayed female dog.
It was never discussed.
I'm not talking to you. This is not a question. This is a statement. And what happened, dogs got together. You didn't plan on them getting together. She didn't plan on them getting together. They got together, and there was a litter of puppies. Mixed breed puppies, because your dogs are not of the same breed. You have a
husky.
And you have
A pit bull.
So now we have a litter of mongrel puppies, and unexpectedly,
Correct.
and they are born on what date?
January 20th. January 20th.
And the two of you, I don't know what the preliminary discussions were. Were you happy to be parents? Were you not happy to be parents or grandparents? I don't care. The case is about this. You think she owes you for a puppy because she either sold or gave away all the puppies, and according to you, you had an agreement that you could keep one of the puppies. You had no agreement for a stud fee. Don't shake your head, it's annoying.
Sorry.
You had no agreement for a stud fee because you didn't intend to have a litter of puppies. So at best, what you're alleging is she told you sometimes after this marriage was consummated that you could have a puppy. And then she said you couldn't have a puppy and you want the value of this mixed breed puppy. Okay, that's part of it. And then you say you had an argument and she kicked you out of the house, and so you want fees. I assume boarding fees because you had to put your dog in some sort of a kennel until you found a place to live.
Well, my apartment was ready within 2 days.
She's not your mother. She's not somebody who's responsible for you. You're a big girl. If you had a fight with somebody who let you live with her for nothing because she liked you, and you had a fight with her and she told you to leave, that's what you have to do. So the only issue that I'm entertaining on your part is the question of whether or not she owes you a puppy or the value thereof. Now I've laid out the case because I didn't want to have to hear it from both of you. So tell me, on what date did you make this contract for the puppy?
It wasn't a contract. It was verbal.
Oh, that's
it was
easy.
verbal.
Perfect. Perfect. If it wasn't a contract,
Exactly.
I don't
Why
have
should she
just
give-
a
she
second.
should give me
If
a
it wasn't a contract, I don't have to hear you, which is perfect because I have 10 other cases
Well,
to
then
do
why
today.
does she get to keep all the puppies, though? Why?
Why?
Yeah.
I don't know. Why is a crooked letter? That's what my mother used to say. I'd say, why? And she would say, why is a crooked letter? Listen, let me tell you what I do. I'm a judge. I rule on questions of negligence. I rule on questions of contract. I rule on questions of custody. When I sat in family court, visitation, child get to keep all the puppies. That's not what I do. If you want to do that, then you go to Dr. Phil and you say psychologically it's not the right thing. I should be able to keep one. She should be able to. What you're telling me is there was no contract.
She made a verbal
No,
agreement.
I never agreed. Just listen to me.
I have
Just a
text
second.
messages.
Ms. Plesnick, there isn't a difference between a verbal contract in the law and a contract that's in writing, but there has to be a contract. Now, I know what the terms are that have to be considered in order to validate a verbal contract. So I want you to tell me, if you bother me again outside, do you understand? Perfect. I want you to tell me the date on which you and the defendant made a verbal contract, what you said to her and what she said to you.
I have text messages where she told me she would give me a puppy.
Listen to me. If you have text messages, I'll see them.
Okay.
If you want to tell me what she said to you and when she said it to you, I will listen to you. And then you'll find the text messages. Take your choice.
She said that she was
Tell me when.
There was multiple discussions where she was going to keep one or not through the whole time, like if she was pregnant.
I'm not sure whether she was going to keep one or not. I'm talking
Well,
about
that was
you.
what she was depending upon, giving me one and selling the other ones. So she said, I will let you know. That's what she said to me. I will let you know. I've promised several people a puppy, and I'm not sure if I'm keeping one too. So she kept leading me to believe that she was going to give me one of the puppies.
Oh, just a second. That's not a contract.
No, I told you it wasn't
Just
a
a
contract.
second. That's not a contract. A contract is, we had this accidental coupling. I'm going to give you a puppy from the coupling, because if we had discussed it first and we decided to do this, what I would do is either give you a stud fee or let you keep a puppy. That's what people do when they breed purebred animals. You get a stud fee if you do it contractually with some thought. When two idiots let two unneutered animals together and one is in heat, then they don't usually have a discussion beforehand. The discussion that you had just told me about is not a contract. Now, if you say that she later, at some point, made a contract with you and said, I will give you a puppy, there also has to be another part of that contract, which is consideration. Put your hand down, you're annoying me. So if you want to look and find a text message, I'll wait for you.
Sandra, I think they're all spoken for. I have 3 people in line for the one girl. Dylan's barber offered $1,000 for her, but I'll let you know what's going on. I can't imagine that's a real offer, LOL, and that's assuming we don't keep one. Well, this is me. I'd really like to give one to my dad. I would keep one if I could, but you know that's not possible. Without coming across as being it's one of Bully's babies, and I'd love to keep her in the family. I understand where you're coming from, but I've also been talking to these people for weeks. I'll see what happens and let you know.
That's not a contract.
No, but she told me she was going to give me a puppy.
No, she didn't tell you she was going to give you a puppy. That's very clear. Couldn't be clearer. Okay, so you have no case. Now, let's get to your counterclaim. Your counterclaim is for the vet bills.
And harassment.
I don't care about the harassment. Your counterclaim is for the vet bills.
Okay.
Her boyfriend harassed me. Her boyfriend harassed me in my face.
You see the way I told her to be quiet?
Sorry.
Had your dog ever had a litter of puppies?
No.
Your dog was 5 years old?
Yes.
Why hadn't your dog been spayed?
When I got her...
I'm just curious. That has nothing...
It's a fair question. When I got her, I did consider breeding her with a friend who had a husky. I did some research into it, decided it was a lot of work and a financial expense that I could not afford. And then I got divorced, and I could not afford to have her spayed. Yes. So she...
Oh, my God.
Stupid.
It was stupid.
Why didn't you ever tell me either that
you knew she wasn't spayed?
I had no idea.
You absolutely knew. The requirement of her living with me was that
her
she
claim
keep
has
her dog
already been
crated.
dismissed.
No problem.
Show them the door. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She never communicated to me anything, any resentment for me staying there, nothing.
She was living with me because she didn't have any place to live.
When you're an adult, you use your words. Didn't happen.
I cannot believe I trusted her and thought she was my friend.
He came rushing up to me in my face and was telling me that my dog raped her dog.
She was living with me because she didn't have any place to live.
Just keep it moving.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Sadek versus Headley. Step forward.
Ahmad Sadek is suing handyman Charles Headley for the return of money he paid him to paint the interior of his home.
Mr. Sadek, you hired the defendant to do some painting work in your house?
Correct.
On what date did you hire him?
On March 4th, 2018.
How did you find him?
I found him through a Nextdoor app. It's a community app where he was referred by a couple of people on the app. So I contacted him.
Online?
Yes, ma'am.
Just for my own information, there's an app. People write nice reviews about somebody.
Correct.
And from that, you type in the app and you say home painting.
General contractor.
General contractor.
Yes, Your Honor.
But you don't, in fact, go and have their sister, brother, aunt, uncle, mini, children, pet poodle, whomever, write a glowing report about a particular person. And if you're looking on that app, you don't know who wrote it.
Absolutely correct, Your Honor.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
On here, what's the scope? He's going to pay you $3,000. For what?
For painting,
No.
drywall.
Just a second.
There's another paper that should have been with that, ma'am.
There isn't one, Your Honor.
Well, I mean, you signed it, then you're a fool.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Ahmad Sadek says handyman Charles Headley never completed painting the interior of his home.
All right, when was he supposed to start the job?
On March 12th.
Did you have a written contract?
Yes, Your Honor.
May I take a look at it? Do you have your copy of the contract?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
I'd like to take a look at it. Because there's some crossing out here. I want to make sure it's both the same. Okay, so $1,500 down, $1,500 on completion. What's your first name?
Charles.
Why did you write your last name here?
I signed.
Understand the handwriting. Bubba's Handyman by Charles.
Yes.
And who prepared this contract?
That is a generic contract that we use.
Well, that's ridiculous. Would you explain to me what the scope of the work is?
Yeah, the scope of work is...
No. On here. On here. What's the scope? Well, he's going to pay you $3,000. For what? Where does it show me? This is your contract. Where does it show me in this contract what you were going to get paid $3,000 for?
Yeah, for painting,
No.
drywall.
Just a second.
There's another paper that should have been with that, ma'am.
There isn't one, Your Honor. Doesn't exist.
Shh. Well, I mean, you signed it, then you're a fool. When you signed a contract, then you don't appear to be a foolish man to me. You appear to be an intelligent man. Why would you sign a contract that didn't tell you what the work was, unless I didn't read it? He was supposed to sell it to provide the materials, such materials and labor to be provided to the customer for the performance of the work specified in writing in an SOW, which I assume, look how, scope of work.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am, that is correct.
It's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous contract. It's ridiculous for you to give him. For somebody who's been in business, it's ridiculous for an intelligent person to sign, to give somebody $1,500 and not... What if he said, I'm going to $1,500, I'm going to write Charles on your door? That's the scope of work. Charles and a big heart.
I agree.
Ma'am, we had went over the scope with him of what we was going to do.
Miss Charles, listen to me very carefully. You're the businessman.
Yes, ma'am.
You can't tell me, if you're in business, and you've been in business for 19 years, according to your answer, this is a signed contract signed by you and the plaintiff. Nothing outside the four corners of this contract is relevant unless it is signed and executed in the same form as this document, unless you have a signed scope of work, which I assume is what SOW means, S-O-W.
Yes, ma'am.
Show me the SOW.
I don't have that with me.
Well, you're the businessman. You're supposed to have the SOW. You refer to it in this document. So whatever is outside that is called parole evidence. It's inadmissible to tell me what the scope of work was. Do you understand?
Yes.
Fix it if you plan on being in business anymore.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Just a second.
But I told him before when we executed this contract that I had health issues. Ma'am, also, when we moved the furniture...
Stop talking!
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Ahmad Sadek says handyman Charles Headley never completed painting the interior of his home.
This is what the case is about. You hired him to do painting. You claim he didn't do the job.
Correct.
You want your deposit back.
Yes.
Your Honor,
His problem.
Your Honor, I have pictures of the work that I have done.
Listen to me, sir. I'm not on your side yet. How many rooms was he supposed to paint?
The whole first floor, the hallway going to the second floor, sunroom, installed trim on the sunroom.
He was supposed to start the work on March 12th.
Yes, Your Honor.
Did he arrive on March 12th?
No, Your Honor.
Did he arrive on March 13th?
No, Your Honor.
Did he arrive on March 14th?
Yes. After I had asked him...
And you had given him $1,500?
Yes.
And how long was the job supposed to take?
2 weeks, Your Honor.
When he arrived on March 14th, did he work?
Barely. Yes.
What did he do on March 14th?
Made a mess out of the whole house. He removed all the living room furniture into the dining room, making the dining room and kitchen unlivable.
Just a second.
Yes.
You got where I'm going?
Yes.
I have other things to do. He moved all the furniture so that he could start to paint. What else did he do?
He started cutting trim work for the sunroom.
Explain that to those of us who were untutored in what trim work is.
Baseboard for the sunroom. It needed woodwork.
What else?
Removed all the face plates off the wall.
Okay, you have to do that. What else?
That was it.
That was on the 14th.
Correct.
What about the 15th?
The 15th, he did not show up. Only his partner, Paul, showed up.
Where were you on the 15th?
Ma'am, I had...
Where were you?
Ma'am, I told him before.
Just a second.
But I told him before when we executed this contract that I had health issues. This man knew this. That's why in the contract it stated that March the 23rd, 2018 this job would be completed. Ma'am, also, when we moved the furniture...
Stop talking! I would like you to show me anywhere in this contract where it says that the work will be completed by March 18th.
I did not say March 18th, ma'am.
Well, what date did you
March
say?
23rd, it's right on the bottom. Completion date, 2018.
I was planning on a possibility to sell the house, and one of his guarantees is if any damage happens to the house, since I have 2 big dogs, before the sale, he'll come and fix it again for free.
Guarantee work till you move out?
That if the dogs chewed up any of the trim along the wall or anything like that, ma'am, if they damaged it, because he told me he was selling
Charles,
his home.
Pay attention. Now, did you give him any more money other than the $1,500? That's either a yes or a no.
No.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by...
I want you to show me photographs of what you completed in the house. Don't say anything. Say nothing. Just show me. Is this work completed?
No, ma'am, because Mr. Sadek had started that prior. That's why he had us come in. He had laid that floor and then properly installed it. And my partner started, we had to build out the trim on the wall, Your Honor, to cover up the gaps.
I just want to know how many walls did you paint? I don't see any pictures of painted walls.
Well, I had to do the nail pops in the, we started in a young lady that works.
Me pictures of what painting work you did.
Right there, Your Honor. He tried to cover up the black mold, which is a health issue.
Just a second. You were supposed to paint the entire first floor.
Yeah, you have to prep it first.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,500. We're finished. Thank you.
But, Your Honor, you didn't even hear it all the way out.
I heard it.
Yeah, because of the countersuit of what he done.
What is our excuse? You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
Well, it is what it is.
How quick it was just shows how much of a scam artist he is.
He kept the tools, and then he threatened us that if we was going to come there, he would do bodily harm.
Give me my money, get your tools, and let's get this done, and he wouldn't agree to that.